And good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 61 of the Odyssey Hour. Uh, as you can see, not all of the Odyssey Paranormal Society team is here, only Scott and myself. Everybody else apparently has lives. So, uh, the I reached out to our to our great friends and colleagues, Becky Bicknese and Kim Juarez from the great teams of Bluff Country Paranormal and Cat Paranormal to join us tonight, and they were nice enough to do so. So, welcome, ladies. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
having
having
us.
me.
Yeah,
Mm.
we're excited about this.
As you should. Everybody's excited about
Of
this.
course, especially when you're
It's
talking paranormal.
well, of course. I mean, I think that one of the greatest things that we get to do as paranormal investigators ever, either as a team or when we reach out to other teams and make friends with them, is we just get to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That shop talk. That
Mm-hmm.
because you don't you don't get that with what I guess what you could call civilians,
Right.
and they just want to ask you, aren't you scared? What's the freakiest thing that's like? They just want to ask you those, the
Those are the
frequently
main
asked
questions.
questions.
Those are the main two, actually, the main
Oh yeah,
ones.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Everybody either wants to hear a story or they want to tell you a story.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's one of the two. It's nothing in
Yep.
between.
Yep.
They either want your stories or they want to tell you all of theirs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I I don't know which I like more, but uh, I'll take both. But it is fun, at least especially every week to for an hour, if not, if I want to include my Monday show, 3 hours a week to be able to talk shop with people. Speaking of which, I have volunteered Becky to go first, which she's not happy with me about, which is fine. She'll get over it. But
So my
what
question,
question? Yeah, what question or topic do you have for us?
scrying. Have you done it? And do you actually think it works?
Kim, why don't you go ahead and answer that one first?
Okay, so what is it again? I just didn't. It threw me off a
Scrying,
little. Scrying, and what
which is
is? Remind me.
that's just a more technical term for automatic writing, isn't it?
No, it's like seeing. It's like staring into a mirror, staring into
Oh
water,
yes, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
getting.
yeah,
Do you
I
think it actually works? And have you tried it? And does it? Do you think it works?
I have tried it with water, I want to say. And it was by a lake. And I actually saw um so it's like when you're concentrating, meditating through the water and you're looking through the water and stuff comes like elements or whatever, anything, orbs. I actually saw colored bulbs, colored like colored like it was a red and green and blue. And I couldn't believe I was actually seeing these and they were dancing. Is that kind of what you're saying, Becky?
Well, I was going to say, some people see, when you look at or hear stories and stuff of people doing it, sometimes
Mhm.
people will say they seen colors. Some people
Yep.
will say they actually see figures.
Mhm.
A lot of times when people try to do it, especially with mirrors and stuff, they'll do it in a dark room with just candlelight and things like that.
Now, couldn't there be a little bit of danger in that? And especially through mirrors?
Just
You
a
know?
little, just a little.
I think a whole lot. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. She
I'm a little worried about the mirror thing. I would think.
Kim, the question wasn't, do you think it's a good idea?
That was not the
Well,
question.
The question is, have
I
you
mean, it
done
could
it?
go anywhere at this point now. Because honestly, I heard some pretty when they do it through mirrors, and I don't remember if that's what they would call it. It probably is, and I just don't remember the
I
word.
think the other term is that psychomantium or something like that.
Something like that. I think you're right. There's another term for it, and they probably did say it because I remember the word. And the mirror thing, things can happen through mirrors. And I've heard of really wild stories. And doing something like that, I don't know. What would you think, Becky? I mean, have you heard stories about the mirrors?
Honest. Well, I would say, should everybody else say their opinion before I say mine? That's usually how Mike plays the game.
Oh, that's right.
Play the game, Kim. Play the game.
Sorry, sorry, Scott. What about Scott? Scott, what do you think about that?
Well, I've tried it. I have a couple of crystal balls, but I've never been able to make those work. I've never got anything out of those. But the only thing that I've tried with scrying and it actually got something from it was just staring into fire. But that's all. I've never had any success with anything else I've tried with that. So I think it works with a lot of other things. It works for some people and not for others. It's just what you happen to have a talent for, I think. So usually scrying doesn't work for me, but I think it does for other people. That's my answer.
No, I have not. I think it's dumb. I think that, and it's more than just the danger part of it. I mean, because a lot of things can go wrong and have gone wrong when people do that shit. But also, it's so easy to freak yourself out. Especially if you're in a dark room with just candlelight, you're going to matrix the shit out of everything. Every shadow, doesn't matter. I mean, whether there's fingerprints on the mirror, anything, you're going to matrix the shit out of it. And that's going to continually build your anxiety and everything else going with it. And that's only going to make everything worse for you. I think the whole mass hysteria part of it is very, very big on that. I honestly, taking what Scott said, it works for some people and the other people, it doesn't. I think the people that it doesn't work for are the ones that don't matrix, and the ones that people freak themselves out. It's their own imagination. I mean, if you want to go back to the whole Bloody Mary, urban legend, in the dark room, blah, 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 she's supposed to show up. I'm sure that's on a lot of people's minds when they do it. I think it's just all a matter of who you are and what you're looking to find. I mean, Grant Wilson said it best. He's like, if you go into a house looking for a ghost, you're going to find a ghost. So if you go in and look in the mirror and you do this, all this scrying and everything, looking to get freaked out, you're going to find a way to freak yourself out, whether there's anything there or not. And I would probably say 99% of the time, there's nothing there except you and whatever you want to create. That's my answer. How about you, Becky?
Okay, so I've never been one that's been like into the scrying and things like that, but I've also being brought up with you be careful with mirrors, you stay away from that. Don't tempt it because you don't want to open a door. So I never tried it, and I kind of stayed away from it. Well, then I'm currently taking a class, and in that class they talked about trying to see your aura, to stare into you put a dot on your forehead, you stare into a mirror, and eventually you start to see, it works for some people, start to see like heat waves But you keep concentrating on that dot, eventually you'll start to see your aura colors. Well, why I was trying this at like 11:30 in the morning with my lights on, windows open, because I've always heard scrying more in the candlelight dim, which also led me to think matrixing. I was thinking, oh, this is the safe way to do it. And while I was doing it, my face changed. And I went, okay, that was I was seeing things, whatever, shake it off. And then I tried it again, and it happened again.
Well, that just means you have a demon in you.
Could be. Thanks, Mike.
I know. I was gonna say.
You're welcome.
So what did you? I mean, what did you see? I mean, you saw it through the mirror, and you just changed, started changing.
My face, my skin color
Mm-hmm.
first turned like a purple,
Mm-hmm.
and with
So you're an avatar.
no,
Oh.
but with my agreements with my spirit guides, when I get the color purple, it usually means loved, not alone family. So I'm like, okay, I like
Mhm.
this. Then all of a sudden it turned my skin started turning like a gray black, and it wasn't outside, it was the skin. And all of a sudden
So you're an alien.
my face changed.
Hmm.
Like I had droopy cheeks, I had like glasses on. I had I was a totally different person. And
Do
it
you think?
happened twice. And I decided I'm not messing with that shit.
Do you think that it could be some type of a spirit coming through because you're opening that up? That something was coming through you. Showing itself to you. I mean, you have to think of it
That's
in that
honestly,
sense.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Because
what I
I don't
thought.
think it was an attachment or of any sort. Like, I don't feel that. But I'll tell you, just as we got onto the show, I said something was different through you. And you said this. I felt that way. So I'm thinking, I don't think there's an attachment. I think something was coming through
Mhm.
because you're opening it in that sense.
Well, and the funny thing is before that, I had actually, at the time, I had 3 different people in my house, 3 spirits in my house that I had been talking to.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was my great aunt who I'd never met.
Okay.
And my mom sent me a picture like 2 days later, and it sure as heck looked like her.
Wow. Wow. So she basically was showing yourself to her so you'd believe. And once you saw the picture, you know what I mean? That's how I see it. So there
That
you go.
that's what I think, but I was just curious what you guys all thought about it.
But you weren't really scrying.
Well,
I wasn't trying, no.
No, that's
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
It could have been ants coming through, possibly, but could have been just optical illusion from staring so long. Another possibility, in theory, would be that sometimes when we're scrying or just concentrating on an object for a long enough time, like especially if you're looking to a mirror, a past life could come up and show itself to you, an image from your past life. So you could have been looking at yourself in a past life too. That's another possibility.
Oh, I hadn't heard of that one.
When you were talking about that, and while then Kim started giving her thing, my first thought was that maybe it was a past life that you were kind of noticing. So yay, go Scott. Team Odyssey.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't know if it was the spirit or not, but I mean, as long as you get the sense that it doesn't want to cause any harm or doesn't want to stay around. Maybe it just has a message or something. If you're interested, I would do it again. But instead of shutting it off or whatever, or let it continue and see what happens. I wouldn't do it alone. I would make sure somebody's there with you doing it just in case, but explore it. I mean, if you're interested in it and see, especially, if you try, like, let's just say tomorrow, and it doesn't happen. I mean, maybe that was just a spirit that was passing through really quick and happened to see it. Or if the same entity or whatever ship shape shit. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Happens again. Well, then it's got to be something with you. I mean, and not in any bad sense, but I mean, it could just be a past life that you're seeing.
Becky, so I'm sorry. How did you feel after it was all over? How did you feel? I mean, did it shock you? I mean, did you?
At first, after it had happened, I was like, because everything I'd ever heard about it
Mm-hmm.
was basically bad.
Right.
So I was like, don't
Right.
want anything to do with that. And then when I got the picture, I went, wait a minute, that was her.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I also knew she'd been hanging around to give a message, and now she's given the message and she has left. So
Okay.
now if it happens again and I get the same look,
Right.
then I would lean more towards past life.
Okay.
And you just did this for the first time today, correct?
Wrong. No. Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. But you did it on Saturday.
Saturday is when it happened. And then what day are we on? Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
I had to think. It's been a long month.
It ain't over yet.
I know. But then my mom ended up, because I had told my mom that this aunt was in my house a couple weeks before that, because she had talked to me before that, saying that she had a message. But then my mom but the funny thing is she passed, but she didn't pass that long ago. But there was like no pictures of her. I tried looking everywhere for pictures of her and couldn't find any. And so my mom actually ended up finding one and sent it to me. And I went, oh my gosh, because this was like Sunday afternoon that she sent me the picture. And I was like, that was her. Or no, it was on Monday, sorry. But it kind of shook things a little bit. So then Monday night, I ended up talking with her, and she gave her message, and she's departed now from my house.
Right.
So,
but the looking in the mirror, when did that happen?
Saturday.
Okay, so that happened
Saturday morning at 11:30.
And that was the first time that you had ever done it.
Yep, because I wasn't looking to do it. I was looking for my aura.
Well, right. But Julie, you had the question of, did you do this each time at the same time of day? And I'm just trying to confirm that you've only done it that once.
Yep. I did it. It happened. I shook it off. Walked away for about 5 minutes. Sat down. Tried to do it again.
Maybe use a different mirror. See what happens.
Try that.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on this?
I do. I kind of think that, because I think we use the same method when we meditate, or because we stay focused on something, and it's the same. Mirrors are probably more of a conducted, that we're I mean, I've heard this before, and people use mirrors all the time for spirits to come through. I've heard people being fixated by mirrors, and then they're so fixated by doing this type of work that a constant and constant thing that happens to them, and then it kind of gets into that not so positive way. It starts going in a negative way. I've heard of that before. Um, but I think you have to be careful in that sense, and just be extremely careful when you're doing something in this way, because you're still opening doors and you're still opening things, and you have to at least know a professional way of doing things when you're doing something like this, which I know Becky does know that there's a difference. So, but for people who are listening and say, "Oh, I'm going to try it," yeah,
Don't.
just don't try it.
Don't.
Just don't do it.
I'll be honest. My mom's really much she has never said she got a gut reaction about something
Hmm.
that hasn't, when mom says she has a bad feeling about something, you generally
Oh yeah.
stay away from it. And she has actually made me promise not to try it again.
Okay.
So actually, I'm not going to try it again because I'm not going to disappoint my mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's right. I'm a 30-year-old mama's girl.
30. Come on.
That's okay.
30s. I said
Okay.
30s.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
38.
I think it's over that. I think you're lying. That's okay.
You guys are
Moving on.
babies. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, moving on. Kim, you're up.
Elementals. How do you guys feel about these things? Like fairies, little people, what else is there? Trolls. I think there's all kinds of things, and they're all over the world when you speak of these
Leprechauns.
things. Leprechauns, yeah. And some are good, some are bad. There's so many stories. I mean, people, I think they even have a picture of these elementals. Extreme. I mean, you may have something,
I do
Mike,
have something.
of a fairy with wings.
Yes.
So, these are the things. I think I have something of a little people. I think I actually have footage, and I still haven't checked into it, but I've seen it the first time, and I kept repeating it over and over and over. And there's no way, but I do know that there were Native Americans on this piece of land that used to live on this piece of land, and we were being followed, and I asked my daughter to point the camera down, and I think it looks like something humanly figure small, like small, and it was in the leaves, and we caught picture of it, so a film of it. So what do you guys feel? Do you think they're really out there? Like, I just had a show and they talked about how many fairies are in Ireland and how many elementals are out there. And she says some are good and some are bad, and some, she says, if as long as you're not doing bad to them, you should be fine. But I've heard stories where people have gotten, you know, hurt by some, that some can be awfully mean. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
So
Go ahead, guys.
in Ireland, there is you know, here we portray fairies as these pretty little winged
Oh,
creatures
Tinkerbell, yeah.
Oh yeah.
that you put in your fairy garden.
And you applaud if you want to keep them alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play
So,
music.
but in Ireland, what they call the Fae, um, they're they'd rather eat your face off than fly around and make
Mhm.
pretty music for you.
Right.
And it's just something that in Ireland they don't mess with. They do not mess with the Fae. They don't talk about the Fae. There is people with Ireland descent that will not even talk about them because they feel like that is opening a door. So that's what I know about them. When it comes to like, again, I've never came across anything in my um investigations of fairies or trolls or anything like that. I've never ran across that, so I don't have any personal experience with it.
I have another story about these little elementals. One time I did this investigation and I kept feeling that there's these little creatures outside my client's doorway. And I kept seeing, like, I kept sensing when I was walking up to her doorway, and I'm like, okay, there's something weird about this place. Like, I really thought it was pretty crazy. And as soon as I get in the house and we started the investigation, everything's all closed down and everything's all, the lights are off and everything. And you can only see the street light. And her doorway, for some odd reason, had like a little bit of a gap, and you could see this light coming through it. I'm not kidding. I even think I have footage on it. You could see little things coming across. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but she said when I told her this, she's like, "You see those too?" And I'm like, "Ha, you see them?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, these are little creatures. They're literally like by your door." And her son drew a picture of this creature on the wall because these things were really bothering him. Like, he would make up these they weren't stories because he believed in it, that he would see them trying to get in through his window. If she would try to leave the window open, and he told her, no, shut the window, at night they're going to come in, they're going to try to come in. And I was like blown away because I do have some ability. I don't think I'm a full blown, psychic or anything, or maybe I just cut myself off. But when I saw this, and he was telling me these stories, I was like, okay, now we really have to do something about the outside. It was more the outside trying to get in. And that little boy drew this little creature, and it wasn't a very nice looking creature. And he says that one of them got in. And so she was even trying to tell me that she was having so much trouble with him. So I don't know what these creatures were or anything like that. I wish I could find somebody that would know more about the land, because that's where I think they're coming from, and it could be Native American, protecting them, and they don't, maybe they don't care for. Maybe he did something on the outside that they didn't appreciate, or, because he's like about, I want to say he was 7 years old, but he can literally see these things. The case never finished because I think something happened where she ended up getting a different job and all this stuff. So we never end the case. But I mean, I do have footage of it. And I just thought that's why I speak of this, because it still intrigues me about what I saw. And I know I saw these little things going back and forth, and I felt like they were trying to get in while we were investigating. And I just thought it was super odd. And then she was like, I have to tell you something. And then she showed me the picture with the little boy drew, and the little boy wasn't there. And I was just floored. And she said that he kept complaining, don't leave the door, don't leave the window open. They're trying to get in. They're trying to get in. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Scott, why don't you go ahead?
Well, I don't know if I have any thoughts on that specifically, but the Julie's asking a question about elementals and giving examples, but the examples, those are not elementals. There's a difference. Those are all nature spirits, but elementals and fairies and those are different types of nature spirits. They're not the same thing. fairies are not elementals, and elementals are not fairies. They're both nature spirits, but not the same kind.
Okay.
In my shamanic studies in shamanism in general, we work closely with nature spirits, with all sorts of different ones, and we communicate with them, and we visit them in our shamanic journeying. I am in my shamanic work. I am what's called a weather shaman. So I work with weather spirits. And the elementals are certain types of nature spirits who are connected specifically to elements like water, air, fire, earth, metal, whatever. Those are the elementals, the ones that are specifically connected to the elements. Fairies are also nature spirits, but they're not necessarily connected to the elements, although some of them specialize in certain things like woodland fairies or seaside fairies or something. So they will connect themselves to certain things, but they are not really bound to those elements the way elementals are. So I do communicate with them to some extent. Especially the weather connected spirits, element, nature spirits. Where was I going with this? I do believe in them. I do believe we can communicate with them. I believe they can communicate with us. Like with any other beings, there are good ones and bad ones. Same as with humans, there are good ones and bad ones. In every type of them. And I think elementals and fairies can have a reputation that's sometimes too good and sometimes too bad. I think the way you treat them and the way you relate to them is what you get out of them. Just like with humans, what you give is what you get. So you treat them with respect and dignity, and they will treat you the same way.
Right.
Islamic culture also have pretty much the same idea toward the jinn. That some are good and some are bad, some are just plain mischievous, and like to play tricks on people. And fairies and other creatures also do that. Just have fun playing tricks on you. But people do that too. That's why they have that whole TV series about punking. Yeah. So I guess that's my answer is, I believe in them. I believe in communicating with them. I do communicate with them sometimes, and we get along fine because I treat them the way they want to be treated, and so I get treated by them the same way that I, with the same respect and dignity that I give them. Yeah.
So my answer is going to be a little different. Now, this is just a general thing. There's always exceptions like Scott, where they will interact or whatever. But from what I understand and I know, whether it's elementals, whether it's fairies, trolls, and leprechauns, which are taken as elementals, it really doesn't matter. But from what I know, elementals in general don't give a flying F about us. they're attributed to their elemental, and the only time that they do is when we start treading on their territory. If we do it in a respectful way, then they'll leave you alone. But
Right.
you start not even like on purpose, but I mean, you disrespect their land, their element, their whatever, they're going to make you pay for it.
Right.
And they're going to start acting out, and they're going to, and there's nothing you can really do about it at that point in time. I know that there's sometimes you can start making offerings. I think like an offering of strawberries or something like that has been used a lot, to try and appease, try to apologize for what you've done. But if you don't do that, uh, they're going to go after you, and they're going to do whatever the hell they want to, and they can. Um, Clearings what don't work against elementals. They are beyond like what a normal spirit would do. I don't even think
Hmm.
exorcisms and shit work against them because they're not demonic. Uh, it's you simply either move or you try to appease them. Like those are the only two options you have, unless you just want to live with it. But I wouldn't recommend that because they'll probably try to kill you eventually. But uh, uh, yeah, actually, so Julie was just saying, uh, tearing up trees and putting in houses. Yeah, that's yeah. There's a lot of people who move into homes and start getting attacked by them or whatever, probably because they tried to change something.
Hmm.
But yeah, you just need to be very, very careful about what you do. And in fact, just today, I was talking with a buddy of mine um, about documentaries that he's making. And um, one of the things that he's about to start working on has to do with monsters. And he started telling me about this family in Texas that has something crazy going on. Like it's not spirit related. Like it's not like dishes flying out of a cabinet or whatever, but it's like creatures like jumping in the back of their trucks and then jumping out, and like almost on a weekly basis. And uh, it's my question to him was, do they live either on Native American land, or by Native American, or do they live by a forest? And they actually do live by a forest. So I'm wondering if it's not, I mean, not a monster, but if it's something trying to terrorize them because of something that they did. Um, Possible elemental. My first thought was a puck wedgie,
Hmm.
because they do that shit. But yeah, uh, this is one of those things where you treat Mother Earth with respect, otherwise she's going
That's
to
right.
bite you in the ass back. And that's what the elementals are there to do. They're there to keep the world as it is, and you start messing with it, it's going to mess back. Kim, did you want to say something else? I noticed you were trying to.
Yeah, I would just wanted to what the guest, I don't remember, somebody just said something. Um, so what happened was, this is odd, and I don't know why, I don't, I guess I'm just that type of person that these elementals like me or something. But not too long ago, we had a set of trees. And I think I told you this, Mike, when you came to visit once. And we had a set of trees that were across the way. And I kept feeling that there was these little creatures in the trees, just hanging out and everything. And at night I would sense this, a lot. And then some psychic says, "Do you ever notice anything in the trees there?" And I said, "You see that too?" And she said, "Yeah, I see that." And I said, "I've always thought there was always something in the trees." Well, then after somebody cut down all the trees in that place, I mean, all of them are gone. And I really felt super dread that these poor creatures end up somewhere, end up with no trees, and no, where do they go? You know, and I just think that's crazy that she says that if you destroy something, you know, they can come back at you or whatnot. They're not going to come after me, but I'm just saying that I've seen and felt that before. I also on Native American land, and that's why I think why we got that picture, that film. I threw tobacco down to offer them, whoever was on the land, to offer as a gift, because I was investigating the land and I didn't want to be disrespectful to any of them. So, and I was up there and we hung out and and spent the night kind of, and I just thought it was amazing that we caught this type of footage. So, yes, it can happen where you offer, and like like you said, the Pugwudgies are, I think for sure they're on this part of, they're everywhere, but I know I noticed there's something out here. So just touching base on that. Sorry about that. So yeah. So
No,
yeah.
no, that's all right. So I mean, just to kind of branch off from that topic, uh, what kind of an offering uh, would be good. I mentioned strawberries.
Hmm.
I know that's a big one. I think almonds
Hmm.
is another one.
Replacing something, if you dig something up, replace it with something else.
Yeah,
Yep. Hmm.
I think it also depends on the kind of elemental that you're dealing with.
Right.
I think
Mhm.
if you're dealing with a nature elemental, something nature related,
Correct.
um, stuff like that. But again, like that's where investigation comes in. You can't just guess
Hmm.
on what you're dealing with. Um, and so, yeah, Scott, did you want to chime in with
Yeah.
anything?
Um, uh, um, when I go out into my yard and uh, you know cut down an old tree that needs to be taken down, or dig up weeds or whatever else, um, I know that the spirits are out there watching me, and that there are spirits on the land. And so I talk to them and I tell them what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and ask them to participate with me in doing it. So that I'm not doing it to their land, I'm doing it with them, and including them in the process of the things that I'm doing.
Hmm.
Also, in studying witchcraft, they always say, well, give an offering to the land, and if you take something, some of them say, put a penny and bury it in the ground where you're doing it as a thanks for taking whatever you took. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? If I'm going to take something from the natural world, take part of a plant or something, the offering that I'm going to make in Thanksgiving for it is some Miracle Grow plant food.
Hmm.
Get a box of Miracle Grow plant food and spread that around where I'm going to actually feed the plant that I'm taking something from. You know, um, that's my offering. You know, um, Strawberries, okay. Um, but if I'm picking a rose from a rose bush, um, one of the best things for fertilizing a rose bush is banana peels. So
Hmm.
spread some banana peels under the rose bush as a thanks for giving you the roses. The offering that you make has to be um, something that makes sense for what you are taking, and to give back something that know um, that is worth something. An old penny is not um, decaying in the ground is not worth anything to anybody or anything. You know, um, but, so that's my 2 cents.
I do wonder if there's a weed spirit not like marijuana, but like weeds. Because I have an amazing
Well,
weed
that's
garden
true.
every summer that just grows and grows. I'm wondering if they like that.
Is that dandelions?
No, it's not dandelions. It's
I was gonna say have dandelion salad because I heard it's supposed to be good for you. So
yeah, I'm gonna fully pass on that.
I've made dandelion jam.
there you go.
I've made dandelion jam, and it's very good.
I'm
And they're good for
never
you, from what I
eating at your
understand.
house again. If you're offering me toast and jelly, Scott, I'm never accepting it ever. Okay, dandelions are weeds, and that's all they should ever be. They should be jam. They should be a salad.
Well, you
And
survive
then
off some of these things, you know.
You know what?
You'll end up having to survive on some of these things one day. You never know. Got to learn to eat from the land.
I'm gonna go to like the Olive Garden dumpster, and I'll get my food there.
No.
I'm not gonna get it from dandelions and people's lawns. Okay. I'm just gonna say this right now. Nobody will ever have to fear of looking out their window in the morning and seeing me on their lawn picking dandelions. Okay. Just gonna throw that one out there.
I was gonna say I've heard of a lot of people drinking that dandelion tea.
Yes, it's good for
A
you, Becky. It's good
lot
for
of
women
people.
too. Mm-hmm.
Yes, makes you hallucinate.
It's
No,
good
it
for,
doesn't.
it's good for
But
treating.
it's healthy for you.
No, no, and it is dandelion root is one of the treatment for diabetes also.
Yes, it is.
And I have dandelion root in my cupboard, and I use it in some of my homemade teas and herbal medicine.
Well, okay. If you take
And another
give me like a go ahead, Scott. Or not, but
another difference between you and me, Mike. So I don't really believe in weeds. I think weeds are nothing but misunderstood flowers.
well,
I think dandelions
understand
are
then.
flowers, and a lot of I don't know.
Well, I'll have to take a photo of when my
And
weed garden
also-
this year. Go ahead.
Another thing that you might appreciate, Mike, is I think dandelions are God's way of telling the world that he's a Packer fan.
Okay, Scott, I was
For the
on your
Packer
side
colors.
till
No.
you went there.
No, no. I'm sorry. No. He wouldn't have made dandelions weed if he was a Packer fan, unfortunately. But
They're not weeds.
Okay, anyway, back to paranormal.
They're medicine.
Right.
I feel like we went.
I know, right?
I'm not done making fun of dandelions. But anyways, all right. Scott, if do you have a topic or you want me to go?
Well, I have the topic I told you about the other day. The other day that I can bring up.
Go ahead.
See what Kim and Becky think of it.
Sure.
About 10 days ago. I have a group of friends, very good friends who are like family to me. They live in Ukraine, and we've been, since all this stuff in Ukraine has been going on, we've been texting each other almost every day. And about 10 days ago on Sunday, my friend texted me. It's approximately, well, we live 4,500 miles apart, and I've been over there 3 times to visit. It's about an 8-hour difference between here and there. So anyway, on Sunday, 10 days ago, my friend texted me and said, this morning I dreamed, and in my dream, we didn't do anything together, nothing happened, but we saw each other. And that was all. We just saw each other, and that was my dream. And I said, well, you know what? during the night, I dreamed about you, and that's exactly what happened in my dream. So we just saw each other. And my question to you is, do you believe that people can actually see each other in their dreams and actually be present to each other, despite the fact that they're 5,000 miles apart?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Kim,
well, I'll
did
just sit here and look at each
I
other.
would say,
Sure.
Kim, did you want to go first, or do
Go
you want
ahead.
me to?
Go ahead, because I feel like you already have something. Go for it.
I do feel like that can happen. Um, I do feel like sometimes people have out of body experiences and things like that. And at night we are more relaxed and we're not held down by all of our reality of the day, and we're more open. And I do believe that sometimes we intentionally or unintentionally will we will go to somebody that we care about
Mm-hmm.
to check on them or to find comfort in knowing that they're still there. So I very much think that you guys could have both. One of you maybe traveled one way or the other. That's all I got.
Go ahead, Kim.
I truly believe in it. And this has happened like years that people tell stories about how they could do that. And I mean, some people practice it, like astral plane, astral projection. They do that a lot. But I also believe that when you're sleeping and you're thinking that person, that could be an automatic. And I think even too, people are connected to each other, and it doesn't make a difference whether you are. Like sometimes, like I'll be all, oh, I think I'm gonna call my mom. I'll call her right now, and all of a sudden the phone rings and your mom calls. Do you know what I mean? And people have that connection no matter what.
Mhm.
So I think, especially at night, especially if you're worried, you're so worried about them, especially what's going on right now. And I truly believe that you can automatically, no matter where you're at, no matter whether you're sleeping, whether you can do that. It's an automatic given. I think we all have that gift, and I think we all are able to do something that way, and it depends on where you're at. And I truly believe in, and I hear lots of stories, some really great stories about stuff like that. So yeah, I believe it.
Well, I was gonna say, because the when you're when you're sleeping and things like that, I totally agree with you. I think everybody has the ability. It's whether or not they're able to control it. Like
Correct.
some people are able to do the out of body experiences and find missing people. Some,
Hmm.
that's Sarah Lamos. That's how she does. She uses her out of body experiences ability to be able to find missing people through a
Correct.
connection of some sort. Now, can I just all of a sudden decide someday I want to pop into, I don't know, I don't even watch movies. Who some celebrity's bedroom to check on
Right.
them? No, I
Right.
don't. I feel like you have to have some type of connection to be able
Correct.
to connect to them, which is why when Sarah Lamos talks about doing it when searching for people, she has to be contacted by a family member. So that way she can tap the energy to
Hmm.
get to the missing person. I feel like you have to have some type of connection, energy connection there in order to do it. I don't think you can just pop into anybody's. So I do. I think that you too, again, what Kim said, with everything that's going on over there,
Oh
you
yeah.
I'm sure you have a level of worry for your friend. That he's your friend. You care about him.
Hmm.
So
So yeah.
I definitely believe that that can happen. Um, I definitely think that that happened in your case. Um, Distance means nothing. You keep putting in there, like even if you're like there's 5,000 miles apart, that doesn't matter. Like there's no
Hmm.
distance parameter there. Like you can only see people in your dreams that are within 20 miles. Like there's no such thing. You know, it also goes towards the whole theory of global consciousness and the fact that we all are connected in some way. But you know, obviously, with you and your friend, it's a much stronger and more personal uh, connection. And I think that especially with, you know, as Becky said, what's going on over there now, I'm sure, you know, thinking of you um, probably brings her comfort in the same way of you are worried about her and you want
Mhm.
her to be safe. So I think that it was just both of your energies, both of your souls, roughly about the same time,
Right.
and in the same manner, reaching out for each other. And uh, you know, for your own reasons, but still for each individual person. And you know, if especially I think if you guys have gifts, like I know you do, Scott. I don't know if she does, but I think that makes it even easier for you to make that connection. Um, it's an amazing experience. I've never had it, but uh, at least visually during the dream. Um, but you know, I definitely think it can happen, and I definitely think it happened in your case. What do you think, Scott? I mean, you actually never answered. I mean, you posed it to the team and then here, well, or at least to me,
Mhm.
and then here. But I mean, you never actually answered whether you believed it or not.
Mhm. Well, I believe it. Yeah. Um, I told her that, you know, the next day when we were talking about it. Um, and I asked her if she thought that it could have been that we actually connected with each other, and she didn't answer me. So I, she's a very kind and caring and sensitive person, but I think all of this kind of paranormal stuff kind of scares her, so she doesn't like to talk about it. Um, but um, so she just kind of avoids it whenever I bring it up. Um, so um, and you know, I told her about just the other day. I told her about the Leduc and how much fun it is to go there, and the little girl, the spirit that's there, and how much fun she is. And she said, "I wouldn't want to go there with you. I'd be scared of the ghost." So, um, so I think I don't, but as I definitely believe that we have a connection, and it doesn't matter
Right.
what's going on or how far apart we are. You know, the connection is there. I've had experiences all through my life where uh, when I needed to connect with somebody, I did. Um, uh, Somebody was missing, and one friend came and said, when I was in college, my friend came and said, my roommate is out there someplace. I don't know where she is. She's been depressed all day, and I'm worried about her, and I don't know how to find her. So I went out and found her, and brought her home. Um, so, when I've just always been able to do that. So when I need to connect with somebody, I connect with them, and in whatever way it happens to come out. So I do believe in it.
Sweet. All right. Well, I can go if you want to go a few minutes over. Mine's not all that thought provoking. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun one that kind of half came up today. So we can go a couple minutes over. All right. So
Sure.
money not being an object, you know, or is no object. If you could own a type of haunted location, not like a specific one, that actually is, owned, but a type of haunted location, what would it be? And uh, if you were to open it up, as most haunted locations are, to other teams to pay and bring in, how would you run it? Like, would you open the gates and be like, swipe your card here and go have fun? Or would you have certain kind of rules? Or would you have it be a certain type of investigation? And silence.
Well, I keep going first, so I think Kim should go first this time.
Well, thank you, Becky. I appreciate that. So I'll tell you this. I don't care what type of location. If it has a historic value, I would want to save it, of course, and make sure that it's up to par and do the best I can to keep it going. Um, for a type of an invest, so it could be anything, like anything, especially if I'm intrigued by it.
Leave it to
You
you,
know,
Kim, to pick a kind, and you're just like, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, I don't. It could even be the most
Pick
haunted,
one.
most demonic place ever, and I'd still want to take it. Because there's history behind everything, and even land. There's even a place up here that I would love to have. So, and it's all about taking care of it. There would have to be some rules. For me, yes, there would have to be some rules. Only because you don't want people trashing or disrespecting the location, especially if the location has some type of native, part of it, or anything like that. There would have to be some kind of rules, not horrible ones or anything. I would allow anybody to investigate, especially people who are intrigued in the history and everything. Um, and yeah, maybe a little bit of money to help keep it going. You have to have a source to keep things going. But I would, it's not going to cost $1 million to be in my place. There's a lot of locations that cost a lot of money just to be in their places. And that to me is kind of not, you can't investigate. There's some people would love to be in, and some people don't have the means, you know, um, so it would be a reasonable, maybe donation depending on the place and stuff like that. Depending. And if you're with a group or you're with somebody, like say me and Mike decide, oh, there's this great castle, we're going to buy it. Okay, let's buy it. Then we'd have to agree upon, a price or what we're going to do and blah, blah, blah. I would, we'd have to be equal to keep it going, to keep it running, doing whatever. So there's mine. There you go. Becky, back to you.
So it's funny that this question comes up because I'm sure you guys have seen that old tuberculosis hospital that's up for sale right now by Pine City.
That got sent to me today. That's what brought up.
Wow.
I've had it sent to me multiple times over the last week.
It's like Pokegama Sanatorium or something like that.
Yes.
It's up by Pine City. It's this really run down.
It's really run down. It's like 99,000.
I thought they weren't going to do anything with that because of the rundown on that. I thought they were going to destroy it.
Well, no. Right now, the land and the building is for sale for $75,000.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Has anybody been there? Have you been there, Mike?
No.
Becky?
Nope.
Well, it's not open for investigation.
No, I'm saying like prior. I mean, I thought like Pine City doesn't allow you to do hardly anything around there. That's what I heard.
It's either Rush City or Pine City. That's where the Grant House is. I've investigated that. That place is awesome. But, and then I knew that there was. I thought it was over by like Lindstrom in Center City or whatever. Because Dave has when I first got into the field, over a decade ago now, um, he was always telling me about some tuberculosis hospital, but I thought it was there, but maybe it was in Pine City.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've never been there. It's uh, um,
Seriously? Did you see what Pam just wrote?
yeah, Ferrari's
What?
for sale, probably.
I was
And
saying, I hadn't heard that.
I hadn't heard that either, although it's not surprising because I think it was Nancy is having some severe health issues.
That's what I
Uh,
heard, that there was
I don't,
something about that.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with the building. I think it just has a lot of health issues. So, I mean, their main reason for buying it was to turn it into like a wedding reception hall,
Mhm.
and that obviously never
Didn't work.
happened.
That's because it's
um,
in the middle of pretty much hardly,
well, it's in
I
the
think.
middle of nowhere.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. I was trying to be
Yeah.
kind.
It's
I guess you're right.
yeah, it's the capital city of bumfucked Egypt is what Farrar is. Uh, it's but it's an amazing place. I
It
mean,
is an amazing place. I love that place.
if I had the capital or whatever or the means to do it, I'd buy Farrar.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't open it to investigations for probably like 6 months, so I could investigate it all to myself for that
Right.
amount of time. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that is the reason why it was I wanted this question was just what type of place would you go for? Would you go for a hospital? Would you go for a mansion? Would you go for a sanatorium? Uh, you know, um, so yeah. Anyway, did you even answer the question, Becky, or did you just talk
Sorry,
about?
no. But well, because when that got sent to me, my first thought was, I personally would not purchase something that far away, because I would, whatever type of place it was that I would purchase, I would want to make sure that I was going in on a regular basis, checking in with the spirits to make sure that they're still okay with what we're doing, that they're okay with people coming in. Because I think so many times people are, sometimes I do question, because yes, my group pays, we go in and we do investigations in some of these paid locations.
Mhm.
But sometimes I question too, is like, are we, my team goes in with the utmost respect and we treat them with the utmost respect, but are we to some extent sometimes making a mockery of them, using them as our entertainment?
Not necessarily a mockery, but it's more of an exploitation.
There you go. Better word, yes. But I mean, and some of them I do feel like there is some places that when you get a lot of interaction and it's not negative in any way, shape, or form, I feel like there's places that the spirits really do enjoy having people come in and talk to them.
Yeah.
And I would want to make sure that my location was close to me, so I could make sure something, that was still the vibe of the place. When it comes to price, I do think some places have gotten ridiculously expensive to go in.
Yeah.
When if I was to think, okay, so let's say, just as an example, I bought Pine City Tuberculosis Hospital. Honestly, I think I would probably charge like Cindy charges at Edinburgh. It's like $45 a night per person.
Mhm.
That is a reasonable price.
Right.
And but there is some places that it is ridiculously, and I understand too. She has, like, you have to pay at least for 5 people, so it's like $225 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then if you have more than 5 people, you pay $45 per person. And I think that's a completely reasonable amount.
Hmm.
Yes, it is. Um,
Mhm.
the hell, I was gonna say something, and oh yeah, um, your point about uh, spirits actually liking people to come in. Uh, I got called into a case. Nobody on the ops teams now was there for it down in Dubuque, and uh, it was feelings of like not being wanted, always being watched. But they had a lot of there was multiple spirits there, and they had a lot of activity that dealt with really like enjoying uh, people coming in, and as a compromise to try and get things to stop, because this wasn't like a publicly offered place to come and investigate. We were there, hired to help the people that were working there, but we pretty much just said okay, and we designated parts of the house because it was a big ass mansion, um, and we designated parts of the house. That was the only place that you could talk to the spirits there. So if the spirits wanted to communicate with them, they could go in these areas. Everywhere else in the house was off limits. And as soon as we did that, everything stopped. Everything went, everything, the bad feelings, the everything stopped. And I think after that, they kind of felt bad that they were pissing everybody off. So I think they just stopped doing their stuff anyways. But I'm sure that there's probably been other people on other teams in there since. Maybe, I don't know. It's not really offered as a haunted place, although it is on Airbnb. But yeah, so I mean, I agree with you. There are spirits there who really like the interaction, um, and others who don't. And I have asked on multiple times, even at publicly offered haunted locations, do you like teams and people coming in here every single night asking you the same questions over and over again? I've never gotten an answer.
I was gonna say, I think I've asked that at every paid location. I don't think I've ever actually gotten an answer.
So apparently they don't like to answer that question either.
Maybe that is the answer.
Silence.
No. It's just, I'm not going to communicate with you.
And that's fair. I mean, and you guys have all investigated with me, and you know how I do my introduction. I say, if you don't want to talk to us, that's your call. We would love if you do, but if you don't, that's all right. I have been criticized for saying that, but not by anybody here or on the team or anything. But I think that that's the right move. I think you give them the option, and if they want to communicate with you, great. If they don't, that sucks, but it's their choice. Scott, what about you? Just real quick.
Mhm. Yeah, well, like you say, money with no object, I would probably like to have a couple of places.
Well, you can't have a couple of places.
Some
My
people tell
God,
me
man.
that my home here. Well, some people tell me that my home here has spirits in it, and I don't doubt that. And they're welcome as long as they're friendly. But if I think if I were money was no object, I was going to get someplace. I would. My first choice would be a house, a home, someplace. Um, and I would do the same thing that I do here. I would tell the spirits, you're welcome to remain and communicate with me as long as you're friendly. If you're not, I'm going to cleanse you from the house. And I think if it was my home, I would probably be very, I would limit it very much to if having anybody come in to investigate it. I would allow like your 3 teams to come in and do it, but I would not just let anybody come in.
Right.
Um, um, my second choice, if I could have a second place, would be some place like a hospital or or school or something that was haunted, where I would have regular, where I would rent it out. But like Becky, I would think that you shouldn't overprice those. I mean, it's ridiculous what some of them charge. Um, 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 so I would like to do that too, but I would want to keep it true to the original purpose of the place. Like, but that I mean, I hate places that get a haunted location and try to turn it into a Halloween haunted house type thing.
Mhm.
No, I hate that.
I agree with that.
I want to keep it true to the original purpose of the place, as much as possible.
That's fair.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, gone over by 15 minutes, which is awesome. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. Kim, Becky, much appreciated as always.
You're welcome.
And so that does it here for us tonight. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode of the Odyssey Hour. And everybody stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here next week, everyone. Have a great night.